Welcome back, everyone. Ahead of the November 8, 2025 governorship election in Anambra State, some aspirants and chieftains of the All Progressives Congress in the state have welcomed the proposal of the party's national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, to pick a consensus candidate without necessarily conducting a primary. Last Tuesday, Ganduje had hinted that the party would prefer presenting its governorship ticket to a consensus candidate than having an unpopular candidate run for the election. INEC has approved that the 2025 Anambra State governorship election should hold on Saturday, November 8, and party primaries will be held from March 20, 2025 to April 10, 2025. Joining me on Politics Tonight is Professor Okonkwo, is a founder United Nigeria Airlines and also APC governorship aspirant in the November 8 governorship election. Prof, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Right, good to have you. So let's start this way. First, you've said it's the turn of the Anambra Centre, but for your party, it looks like the idea of direct or indirect primary is out of the way, and it looks like your party would be opting for a consensus candidacy. Are you pleased with this?
It is a welcome development from the chairman. Anambra is a very unique state when it comes to the issue of politicking, especially primaries, when you have big weights, like those who have all shown interest in APC. And the chairman of the party was saying this from the background, that he knows there's a whole lot of money politics in Anambra State. And he's expressed interest and desire that the people would not waste the money at this stage of the primaries or waste their energy, but rather conserve all the resources until a candidate emerges, and then they have one opponent who is the incumbent of the current incumbent in the state, or any other candidate that may emerge from other political party. So he's saying this, bearing in mind that that may be the best way to produce the best candidate for the party, because he had also said the party will go to the election with the best they have. And that is the best who can challenge and win the election, the best who has the advantage from the areas that can win the election, the best who is able to mobilize the party, not only the party, but all the opposition in Anambra State.
But are you bothered that this idea, Prof, are you bothered, or does it bother you that this idea of consensus candidates may plunge your party into crisis if not handled properly? Because I remember the crisis or the issue you had when you were in the PDP as regards the idea of primary election.
No, not at all. I'm not really bothered. It's a welcome development, which I think all the aspirants are prepared to give the best shot. But again, it's important to note here that it was just a suggestion by the chairman. And it is his desire that we get to that consensus arrangement. But whereby it does not work, obviously, he's not ruling out entirely the possibility that the aspirants will go to the field and then, test their popularity. But I think for what he said, has a lot of wisdom and experience, and it is to the best interest of the party in Anambra State. Because if we can agree before the primaries, definitely has possibility of reducing some rancor that do emerge after the primary. So I am not bothered. It's a welcome development, and I think my brothers, colleagues who are the aspirants also will not mind if that consensus will be reached.
So the November 8th election looks like one that would be fiercely contested. For now, you're one of the billionaires who have indicated interest in, quote and unquote, on seating Professor Soludo, who, by the way, is your friend. And I am aware that you've been friends for decades, or you've known him for decades. Are you fit for this task? I mean, there is the feeling out there that he's already coasting home to a second term. Are you capable of stopping him?
Oh, yes. We are friends. He knows that. As a matter of fact, he knows that he's sitting on my seat. I've had occasion when people around him will tell me that, you see, we know we're sitting on your seat. If they had not robbed you of PDP ticket, you probably would have been the governor. So, and I know, I've said it also before now, that obviously before I was robbed the ticket, we had a meeting at his own initiative. Present in that meeting was Senator Ikechukwu Obiora, where he pledged his support to me in case, eventually everything goes to my favor, that he was ready to work for me, because he knew that at that point I had run everybody out of town, including even APGA, that was a sitting incumbent government then. And obviously that time the governor, Obiano, had not come out fully to support him because he was waiting to see what would be the outcome of the primaries of PDP, which they invested hugely. They invested more money probably than me for me to lose the primary, because they were afraid to face me on the election day. So it was only until that happened that he was able to, to rise from APGA's side. And based on that understanding we had in that meeting, obviously every other thing I did on the other side of the party that I moved into was to offer him the best advantage he could to arise, because we had that understanding. Recall I was the first to congratulate him, even when the election was yet unconcluded. And in his first official statement interview after in the process of the election, he acknowledged the fact that I had even congratulated him because we were working together for him to win. Because then, obviously, I was unfairly treated, and the whole state knew about it, and you wouldn't just reap from where you did not sow. So for that reason, it was the loss of PDP. So for now, all those people who knew I was robbed have a whole lot of sympathy for me, and obviously we are driving a movement that actually made me to make up my mind to come out this time and complete the job we have started
I mean,
3 years ago.
Saying that Professor Soludo is sitting on your seat is such a bold statement. But, I mean, I asked that question for two reasons. First, some APC members are talking about wanting someone with a comparative advantage. So how popular are you in Ogidi? How popular are you in Idemili North? How popular are you within your party? Considering that you were with the PDP, you defected to the ZLP and now the APC, why did you think APC is the right place for you?
Well, in terms of my popularity, I thought you would have been the one telling me that from what is obvious out there, because I guess you press people have your ears on the ground. If I say it somehow, I'm sure it might be like, okay, everyone would say it's popular. But there's no doubt that Soludo knows that I am the only challenger he has in this election. Even if you look at what the APGA team is doing, he has set up a whole team of media war against me. And it is not just even to run against me. They don't want to knock me down. They don't want me to get the ticket. There's a whole lot of conspiracy. As a matter of fact, each time I run the election, I don't really run against the aspirants, my colleague aspirants. I run against the external people who don't want me to be on the ballot paper. Let me tell you this. Party is very critical. We ran in PDP, yet it's not a secret. And you knew how strong, how organized PDP was. For 4 years, I had all those things put together, and we're coasting to victory until that happened. Now, in terms of advantage, I am from Anambra Central. Anambra Central has the 60% voting population of Anambra State. And these votes are concentrated around my own local government area, Idemili North, where I am the leader. So when I come out on a PC ticket, you already have 6-7 local governments secured, because between Idemili North and Oka South, you have huge voting population. Then Anambra Central is in between Anambra South and Anambra North. And within that, my election, my politicking, I have been able to build a very strong political alliance with Anambra North. In fact, my political partners in Anambra North are holding sway in that political scene. We are talking about Tony Nwoye, who is the senator from Anambra North. We are talking about the National Assembly members there who are from Labour Party. So they are from my political family, where I am the leader. I make bold to tell you, I am the leader of that political
Prof,
family.
Because of time, and I still have a lot of questions for you. Because of our time, I have a lot of questions for you. Does your party stand a chance? Yes, you're popular, but does your party stand a chance in Anambra State? And I'm asking because of what AGA chieftains think of your party, the APC. Most of them think the APC has essentially been deserted by anyone in Anambra State with a modicum of integrity and has become a union of political perverts where the center cannot hold after March 29, 2025. That's a statement from ABGA. And to corroborate that statement, National Public Secretary of ABGA was here about a week ago. I remember him saying to me that Professor Charles Soludo has no credible opposition in the state. And for a fact, if we were to look at the woeful performance of APC in the 2023 general election, does your party stand a chance at all?
Well, the past is gone. We're not talking about presidential election. We all knew how that went. Today, we're talking about the coming governorship election. The incumbent governor is from the south. So definitely any candidate of APC that will emerge from the south has lost about 4 local government areas. All right? So no matter how unpopular the candidate is, the incumbent, obviously will still have some base, some strong areas that he must protect. That is his last front. So that is why the party, that is why the secretary is considering Central, because when you go to Central, you are closer to North. So a partnership between North and Central could have established will give us huge amount of vote, and then we will have enough in the South, obviously, to floor the governor. But let me tell you, yes, the political structure of APC in the previous elections and 2023 may not have been the same. I've always said it. Political structure is about human beings. They are not concrete. All right? So look at what has been happening in Anambra State. Since I moved into the party, the game has changed. I've brought a new face. I've gone in, baptized the party, cleansed it up with my image, with my reputation, and my followers. The biggest problem the party has in Anambra State now is getting themselves together to meet up the number of people who are moving in different ways to register.
Some of your party
Look at even
members,
the tropes of the aspirants.
Some of your party members say it's time for a young candidate. They say it's time for the youth of Anambra State, and they were done with older candidates. Someone like John Bosco Okonkwo, who's also an aspirant, is saying a young person who is of no questionable character, a youth who is a unifier would be a better candidate this time. Prof, you're 60. There is also Paul Chukuma. What makes you a better candidate? Hey,
Jumoke, what do you want me to feel like now? Am I that old?
No, I'm just saying your party members are saying they want a younger candidate this time. So what makes you a better candidate?
I think I might not be a Gen Z, but from every look, everything you can think of, I am not just too old to run, So I appreciate what they're saying, but I think today, more than anything, Anambra State needs somebody who has the empathy, who can take care of the problems we have, security situation, which the government has shown no clue. And we don't want some people who will learn on the job.
Okay.
They just want somebody who can hit the ground running. The youth obviously will be accommodated. Those people you mentioned are my young brothers. They are like my boys. We know each other. I think they will be happy if I will emerge, and they surely we will groom them for the future. So I think that I'm better positioned now to use the experience I've gathered in all the area. By the way, these are people who had worked under me politically in Anambra State. So I guess they will be glad if I win. But the majority of Anambra people want somebody who cuts across all the divide. They want an entrepreneur who is successful, not those who are looking for a job, because we believe that politics should be a vocation and not a profession. Unlike our governor who has Soludo, who has done nothing else in his life apart from talking, you know, as a professor of theory. Though I am a professor, and some people do get worried about that, but I do tell them there is a difference. I'm a professor of practical, you know. So from the business aspect, I can identify with the business community. From the academia, I can identify with them. From all aspects of, you know, the youth, I'm not too old. And then culturally, you know, I have the best relationship with the traditional institution in Anambra State. I am the most titled Anambrarian alive today. You cannot imagine. So in all aspects, you look at it. On the grassroots, I am grounded. I am on ground. I am man of the people. So you can, I'm just, for any group that this election matter to, I'm just the guy next door.
All right.
So that's the comfort we need. And in terms of experience and the exposure, we have enough to turn things around. So
how experienced are you when it comes to governance?
Oh, yes. We've been around, we've been part of the system, you know. I have been very active in Nigerian politics system, both on the state and the federal. And the government experience, I mean, by qualification, I'm a political economist. There are not many politicians in Nigeria who have my exposure. And by the way, I am trained for leadership. I went to school in Russian Academy of Science, where I got my PhD, and then in People's Friendship University, where I was trained to be a leader. In fact, my university had produced not less than 15 presidents in the world, because we are trained for leadership. We are trained for managing the economic development of different states. So in terms of training, I got it. In terms of practice, I've also shown that in different other positions I've taken, but silently. But more importantly, in my individual and personal endeavor, what I've been able to do with myself in my personal enterprises is an evidence that, you know, given opportunity to run the government, I'll bring that experience and turn things around.
All right.
So I think that the experience is more than adequate.
Interesting, Prof.
But that's why sometimes some people might just think that this why are you wasting your time here? But I'm saying, look, no matter how you succeed, you cannot be too much to offer service to your people at different level, even from local government.
All right, Prof.
Area.
Let me get more questions for you. You've described Governor Soludo's administration as subpar. You claimed it has plunged Anambra into a doldrums. What's your assessment of the state?
Well, obviously, for the past 3 years of Soludo, he just probably forgot that he is there to change lives of the people. He is there to make life, to secure life and property. He is there to give people reason to come back. So it appeared to me that he just was working for, he wanted to be a governor for a very long time. Now he grabbed it, he didn't know what to do with it. And all of a sudden, when I started last year to talk about, when I said, look, I got to break this monopoly of silence, because it looks like already a conspiracy. The elites are quiet, so I can't just keep quiet. So when I started, touching on some issues that are really critical, issue of security, there's no life in Anambra State anymore. There's no economy, actually. Our economy has broken down. So he woke up from slumber and trying now to do things that are not well thought of. So nothing has changed. Soludo has no capacity. Every single thing he's putting in place is for politics. You can't be talking about politics of Anambra State today and you think that anything can get better with this quality of security team. He called this name, Udogachi, which I say is Soludogachi. Is that what I'm going to present to Elon Musk?
So talking about that, Prof, because you seem to have written off the Soludo government managing security in Anambra State. But when you go around Anambra State, you keep hearing that Soludo is a solution. Some say that it's bringing some solutions to Anambra's problems. There is Agune Chamber, there is Operation Udogachi, but other concerned Anambra State sons and daughters say the state is gradually turning into an ungovernable space. There are criminal elements scattered across the state, killing their own people, while there is no life beyond 5 o'clock. As a result, the people of that state are living in mortal fear of these criminals. So what would you do differently if you become the governor?
Well, Soludo is master of rhetorics.
So what would you do differently?
He's actually not the problem. He's not the solution, but he is the problem. What I have to do differently is to tackle it head on. You see, you wouldn't solve security problem by just bringing some untrained people on the street, arm them with guns to shoot down some people. You have to go to the fundamentals. You need to bring back a good economy, both daylight, day economy, night economy, and you need to also be a model to these people. Well, for coming in to solve security problem, we will discuss details very soon. I am involved already. I'm doing a whole lot about security of Anambra State. But the bottom line is that 60% of these people who are involved in this kidnapping are those living in Anambra State that all the things they have tried to do have failed. Whether the Okada drivers, whether the Kakena Pep drivers, Soludo has chased them out of their business with taxes. There's no even night economy because by 6 o'clock everybody has gone home. Sit at home remains unresolved. All these things have been solved in neighboring states except Anambra State. Even the governor of Enugu State has been there for barely 2 years. Stopped sit at home in 3 months. It's still there in Anambra State. So when Soludo talks, nobody
the governor is someone who does not believe in borrowing. The governor is someone who does not believe in borrowing. So when he, talks about taxation in order to generate revenue through that, what do you think is wrong with it?
Well, government will always tax people, but not believing in borrowing is the biggest surprise he has shown to me as a professor of economics, because there is nothing wrong in borrowing. I'm a businessman. I borrow. Other businesses will borrow. If you need to scale up your game, you have to borrow. Why are the banks there? Soludo has been chairman of governor. So
if he does not believe in borrowing, does that make him a bad governor?
Well, it doesn't make him a bad or good governor, but it just shows that he has a very low expectation. You know, he plays on a low grade. You know, he has a small dream. He must have to. If you have a big dream, you must have to be able to access capital.
All right, Prof. I've also heard you say
I'm being credit worthy is even in itself an advantage. So if I become a governor, I will borrow where necessary, but apply them rightly to hasten development. That's why development is slow in Anambra State. There's nothing that is happening.
You know,
what government really do when they borrow is...
Please go ahead.
Well, the issue is that if I borrow, I can, as long as I'm going to have a money that should be within the term of my administration, because I've been in such a hurry to get things done. We got a lot of things very, very dilapidated. You need a lot of resources. You can, until you build a strong economy that will bring returns, and not from the tax the Soludo is collecting from the drivers and the motor parks. That's not what we need. You need to build huge infrastructure. You need to open up new towns. You need to attract investments. And for you to do that, you cannot do that with all these little things that are tickling. We don't have to depend on Abuja. I know what to do. I'm a businessman. I'm going to bring a whole lot of Anambrarians who are ready to invest their money first. I'm going to attract internal investment before foreign investment. And these people can only come when they have confidence in you that you know what to do with money. Not just what you say you will do with the money, because I've seen, we know ourselves, you know how we started and know where we are. So when I call them, they will come around. In fact, they are behind this. They are part of the movement that we are putting up to sack Soludo, because they believe enough is enough. Let's take charge of our state.
Prof, I've also heard you say the government does not also engage with people that matter in the process of finding lasting solutions to insecurity. And that reminded me of the conversation I had with Senator Orjius Okado about the unending insecurity in the Southeast. He says insecurity may continue until the governors come together, meet with former governors who had gone through this and how they were able to make insecurity a thing of the past in the state. So this time, when you say people that matter, who are those people?
Well, I really believe there must be a regional agenda for insecurity in the Southeast. Some states have done well with that. I applaud them. But in Anambra State, the tension is very high. But Governor Soludo, instead of embarking in programs that will reduce the tension, he's escalating it. He's not in good terms with the traditional institutions. He has scrapped the traditional council. He hasn't had meeting with them for over 1 year. And then he's just reconstituting them to use them for the election. And then in doing so, we have a traditional way we take care of things. Security has always been in the hands of traditional rulers in different towns. They preside. But today, he has taken it out of traditional rulers to the town union presidents. And that is for political reasons. That's not fair. Now, you are pushing shadow because he's clueless. He's now trying to make law against traditional worshippers. That's not your area. He goes to the church to tell the church in the pulpit how they should bury their dead. That's not your area. It is for somebody who has no direction. So I really think that a proper engagement with the people, with the right respect, it's not anything you should do by law. You don't have to promulgate law to bring peace and order. You have to show some actions that people must have confidence in. But every step he makes, the people are really very skeptical and suspicious about his intention because they're coming too late in the day, and it is where many lives have been lost. So I don't think people will forgive him for the pain and the sorrows his bad governance has brought. And I mean, on Saturday we're going to bury a second House of Assembly member who was killed under his administration. This guy was kidnapped in December. And Soludo had a press conference in Anambra State saying that all is well. People would come back for.
Prof, are you there?
Yes, somebody is talking. I can hear another.
No, please continue. But talking about insecurity, what do you think the government of the day has not identified as the real cause of insecurity in Anambra State? What do you think is the missing link here? Because if there is Agune Chamber, if there is Operation Odoguachi, and yet people are still being kidnapped, killings here and there every other day in the state, what exactly do you think the government of the day is missing?
For want of time, I will just simply put it this way. Soludo had not acknowledged there is a problem of insecurity in Anambra State. He's not bothered about it, and he had refused to invest in it. But
Prof, I think it would be unfair to say that the governor has not recognized that there is insecurity in the state and that is not bothered. I mean, if it's coming up with different initiatives just to make sure that this is nipped in the bud, I think it's quite unfair to say he's not bothered and he's not doing anything about it. It may not be enough, but you saying he's not doing anything about it sounds very unfair, don't you think?
Well, you see, if you are really from Anambra State and know how we feel, you can understand me. I'm not talking about his the later attempt, which started from this January. He has been governor for 3 years. Life has been hell in Anambra State. So that would have been the first thing he would do. In the debate leading to the election, he had acknowledged that Anambra was the safest state in the federation. So before December, nothing was done. So before now, we are thinking that this is medicine after that. I am in touch with the whole of security agencies in Anambra State. Soludo had not invested up to 100 million naira in security for 3 years, the total 3 years of his administration. We talked to the commissioners of police, we talked to the army leaders, we talked to DSS department, and now even in his attempt to do so, you can imagine now when you talk about security of Anambra State, you're talking about Agune Chamber. What about the police? What about the other security agencies? This is so, it's just like we are talking about in the ancient modern era. That's not dealing with security issues. And I can tell you that this way he's going is creating more security concern because these things are not so stable. By the time he goes for his election and fails, there will be no one to be paying these people, and they will turn themselves into another gang of security threat. He should sit down with the security agencies.
All right, Prof.
Usually, other governors will have security meetings on weekly meetings.
I get that.
Soludo doesn't have security meetings with security agencies.
All right,
so
Prof.
I think that nothing is being done. That was what made me think that the situation we had before now was serving its purpose.
All right, then. Finally, before I let you go, what's your perspective on local government autonomy? Do you believe in financial autonomy for local governments?
Well, I have been advocating that.
All right.
I believe in development from bottom up. And do you recall that Soludo is the only governor in the whole federation that had quickly ran to his state assembly that he uses to do his purpose, and they enacted a law that twisted the Supreme Court judgment. This is unfair, and this money, we don't see it. He takes them up in Oka and does with it what he wants. So the immediate thing that we have to do is to abrogate that law and give the local government autonomy. We know where we should get money to develop the states. It shouldn't be from the monument for the local government. There's no life in our city, in our towns and rural areas. Nothing is happening. I am from Anambra State, and I can attest that. Businesses are crossing the bridge, they're going to the other side.
All right. I should let you go now, but I'm sure we'd have a more robust conversation some other time. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, OFR, founder, United Nigeria Airlines, APC governorship aspirants. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. And I'm sure that I would like to speak with the governor as well to, come and react to all of these allegations leveled against him. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yes, and one day probably might have to have a debate with him so that
all right, absolutely.
We'll come out of it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Now let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to the matter of corruption. Stay with us, everyone.